critical of underground gasification for different reasons. And generally, I really doubt that clean coal technologies are this breakthrough in which we in this country dream of. But anyhow, my point is that there is a lot we have to discuss and a lot we have to decide in terms of all these weaknesses which we face in Europe. And energy is obviously the leading example, but there is a number of issues, 2 or 3 I mentioned already, that are pressing, and they require a reflection of everyone in this part of the world.
Thank you. Now, Andrei, you're in the insurance business. The insurance business has had to pay huge claims for hurricanes and storms. Now, there is, at least the debate I'm reading, says that these storms are caused by more water vapor in the air. Is this something on your radar? Is this something you think is important?
Well, definitely. I am a member of something called Geneva Association. It's the kind of an association of CEOs of the largest insurance companies in the world. There are 80 of us, and every single year during our meeting we talk about climate change and the implication for our businesses, especially because of the events that you mentioned, because of volatility of those events and increased frequency of those events, and also severity of those events, because it's happening more often and more often and more often, and with kind of larger force. So we pay quite a lot of claims for those events. However, if I may come back to your question, original question of Paris 2015, again, 3 points. The first thing is kind of from my moral perspective. Yes, definitely we should do it. We should make sure that we will lower the emission, and we'll make sure that we'll have cleaner and safer and nicer place in the future. Terrific. I will sign under this every single time. However, the second point, I think that there might be 2 different routes that 2015 and the implementation of these things would take. The first one is much more bureaucratic. So we'll create lots of regulations. So what it would mean, from my perspective, we will have a major differences between the countries in terms of competitiveness. Take France, with majority of electricity being produced with nuclear. They will have a major competitive advantage versus countries like Poland, where we don't have capital to do all we would need to do, while France already will have a major kind of competitive position. So therefore, we would need to make sure that whatever we do helps everyone in the system, but does not punish the guys who are structurally in the wrong place. And another route, and I hope that it will not happen, it will happen, another route, would be this thing should drive innovation. I'm not talking about regulations, but innovation. That what Professor said, zero emission carbons, I even don't understand what he's saying, but it's, as far as I understand, it's pretty much clean burning and getting clean energy. This should drive innovation. But right now I'm moving to the third point, that the innovation does not come from very theoretical and very high-level regulations or very high-level solutions. It comes from very specific solutions. Just to give you an example, 2 years ago, I was at Davos during the innovation panel, and there's one guy who said that car industry is extremely not innovative. I'm not picking up on BMW, who is a terrific thing. But he said something like that. The engines that we are using are pretty much the same technology they've been using for 50 years. And he said something very interesting. He said, try to imagine, what if we introduced a regulation that no car in 2015 can consume more than 2 liters of petrol per 100 kilometers. Try to imagine how much money BMWs of this world would start spending on innovation. Would they do it? Yes, definitely. This is doable. But right now, we are buying cars that consume 25 liters of petrol, if we are lucky. So what I'm trying to say, the Paris 2015, the success or failure would depend on where this thing's going to go. I hope that it will not go to regulations, but it would move towards innovation.
Thank you. Now, Ivan, you told me when we were speaking that you've been to many of these climate conferences and that some of them are just, I think your word was, technical word was blah, blah, blah. Is this more blah, 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 or is there hope, or is there more important things to talk about?
No, I don't think that this is not important. On the contrary, it is important, but it has many aspects, this problem, of course. As my predecessor said, it is also about competitiveness. If you look at the development of the industrial costs on the energy in the US, in the Europe, you will tremendous differences in favor of US, of course. It is connected with the method, how it is regulated and incentivized, and how incentives for alternative sources and so on and so on. But I would like to use this, my now only 2 minutes maybe, for another topic, not because I don't think this is important, but because I don't feel myself to be an expert in this area of climate change and so on. But what is important? I have mentioned in the first part of our discussion that the reforms on the national level. Now I will use these 2 minutes for saying what is important on the European level, especially in the Eurozone. Because this is the problem. This is the key problem for the future competitiveness and the position of the Europe in the world. Firstly, we have monetary union, but we still don't have single market, which means we came more further as it was maybe useful at that time, but we are there. We have monetary union. It is general agreement that if we have monetary union, we will have to have also some kind of political and fiscal union. Now question is, what kind? This is what Professor said. This is about European identity. Because theoretically, it is possible to have deep political union, United States of Europe, transfer union, strong political union, but only theoretically. Practically, it is impossible because lack of common European identity, which will legitimize the transfers and supporting from richer to poor and so on, which means forget for this. But if we will forget for this, and of course it is a long-term process how to build and strengthen the European identity, but we have monetary union in troubles now. Which means only solution is then to create a political and fiscal union based on the rules which will force the member countries for doing policy which will create fiscal sustainability and which will push these countries for doing necessary reforms. We are again in reforms. And this process started in the Growth and Stability Pact, with the banking union and so on and so on. But what is missing there, and this is key point what I want to deliver, still is missing in these rules one key importance rule. And this is exit rule from the Eurozone. And I mean by exit rule, not only the voluntary exit possibility, but also forced exit or exclusion from the club if country is not fulfilling, is not respecting the rules which are common and which are obligatory. It is, in my opinion, it is really decisive importance, the problem. Because if not, if we don't have this rule, then it creates situation like in Greece, that politicians will, because it is impossible to force country or people to respect some rules. But it is necessary to have clear rules and clear knowledge that yes, we can decide. We can also reject these rules, but necessary consequence from rejecting rules is to exit the club. If these exit rules will not exist in the Eurozone, I'm afraid that we will have another problems, because then it is much easier for the populist to promise everything, to gain power, to win elections, and then we have these problems which we have. Which means these rules, we are on the good direction, I mean, by creation of this kind of rules for Eurozone, but what is missing in these rules is this exit rule.
Okay, thank you, Wojciech. You know, before you were running the lottery, you were an advertising guy. as a marketing and an advertising guy, what's your vision of this climate conference, climate change? Is sustainability, does it sell sustainability?
Ja myślę, że niezbędne są rozmowy tego typu konferencje jak w Paryżu. Jestem przekonany, że będą wyznaczały pewne kierunki. Tam nie załatwimy niczego do końca, natomiast wyznaczanie pewnych kierunków przełoży się w przyszłości na rozwiązania technologiczne, które tak naprawdę zrobią porządek z tym, co mamy dzisiaj, z tym całym bałaganem klimatycznym. A bałagan jest dość duży i jeżeli my sobie nie poradzimy z tym wszystkim, to Ziemia sama w sobie z nami sobie poradzi. Będzie coraz cieplej, niektórych zaleje, niektórych wiatry zdmuchną, niektórych śnieg zasypie. Także naprawdę Ziemia da sobie z nami radę, jeżeli my jako cywilizacja sami sobie z tym nie poradzimy.
Okay, the same topic, I understand. I will not be as short, but I will also try to limit myself. Okay, a topic is large, but let me make a few simple points. I mean, the first point is about the sense of this, the climatic change. Is it important? Obviously, we don't have the hard proofs that we are right, that the climatic change is taking place due to the CO emissions, so on and so on. But given that we are playing with the future of this planet and the humanity, I would say the evidence is strong enough to undertake the action. Even if we don't know for 100%, we are not sure if we can stop it. Okay, so that's the first point. The second point is it reveals another problem. You know, during the last round of questions, we are talking about how sorry we are about Europe, that's losing the percentage share of the market to China and so on and so on. The truth is, we should be sorry about China because they are trying to catch up in the same model